I can describe it because it's still there. The bottom line is I don't love going fast.
Let's see how it goes.
I have a fear of riding into a fixed fence, which is essentially what cross-country riding is.
If anyone's going to be galloping at the end of the course, you'd like to think it's this combination. So this is absolutely her chance.
I just love trying to improve a horse, to get inside the horse's head, to understand its personality, you know, getting a horse when it's 4 or 5 years old, and then, you know, taking it on a journey like I have with Walter all the way up to Badminton. That's the motivation. I've always been an animal lover. Mum and Dad always said I used to fall asleep every night in the dog's bed, cuddling the dogs, and they'd have to carry me upstairs. So I've always loved the animals, so there's that part of it for starters. And I'm also extremely competitive. I love winning, always hated losing. So riding really was a great combination of the two.
Another trot round and then go over the jump.
Well, I competed from a very early age, so I was always competing, but I was very on and off successful with that. Probably at the time we didn't really understand the amount of help and training it took to be really good. Then I went to university and my confidence levels were up and down anyway, and I had a horse that wasn't so great. So I lost heart with it all a little bit. And then fortunately when I went to work for Judy Bradwell, she just ingrained the basics in me for 4 years. I rode lots of young horses and started going for lessons with Caroline Moore, and I really went from the bottom back up again, and that's when I started to gain confidence.
The first thing I thought that she'd just got some natural ability about her. She put a lot of effort into what she did, a lot of thought into what she did, and she was a great person to work with. She always wanted a little bit extra out of the sessions, and I think that was the big thing that really stuck out in the first place.
She owned All Star B. He was a young horse at the time, and she phoned me and said, "Oh, would you be interested in riding All Star B for me?" And I jumped at the chance. You know, when he arrived at this yard, he was an 8-year-old, over 17 hands. I'm under 5'2". I took one look at him and thought, crikey, he's far too big. And then I took him round one cross-country course and thought, he's far too strong as well. So I wouldn't say it was a match made in heaven at all, but he was just the most generous horse. I went to my first Burghley in 2015. Probably never said so at the time, but I was frightened of the cross-country. Always dreaded it. I walked the course at Burghley, couldn't picture myself riding it at all. I wanted to go fast, I wanted to be competitive, and I found the whole thing quite traumatic. All Star B was too strong. I was pulling him all the time. I didn't really understand how to ride every jump consistently well. And I came through the finish a little bit frightened, quite demoralised, and nearly ready to give up the idea of being a top event rider and to just produce young horses for other people then to take on. I thought that was probably the route I would end up going down.
To be a top class competitor, as you go up the levels, you have to cope with pressure. You've got to really have the right head on your shoulders. You've got to be very strong in your mind. You've got to believe that you can do it.
Well, we've been through traumatic days, I think. Sorting it out. In the earlier days it was more difficult because we didn't have the help when things went wrong and we were in the school and trying to put things right, but I didn't really know exactly what to do.
Will to win took over and decided to have one last attempt at seeing if I could get my confidence cross country and learn to enjoy it, and that's when I went up to Chris Bartle. And together we kind of bit of sports psychology, a little bit of changing my riding, but he basically made me have huge confidence, and then literally that's when the results started coming in. And I came out the next year and came 5th at Badminton and 5th at the European Championships, and then the next year 3rd at Badminton and won the World Championships. So it was fairly rapid turnaround in results.
Ros Canter.
World Championships came a little bit out of the blue for me. I still felt very inexperienced. It was my first World Championships.
Ros Canter emerges.
But actually it was the first time that the importance of my system and my mental state really showed.
All Star B, huge jump.
All Star B was incredible all week.
He's big, he's Dutch, but he's so balanced around the corners for such a big horse.
and we had an amazing team that year. We were so invested in trying to win team gold that when I cleared the last show jump and I knew we'd won the team gold medal.
Ros Canter jumps the last fence, and that is simply sensational.
I just felt so relieved and happy for everybody else as well that it hadn't even crossed my mind that I might win an individual medal.
Ros Canter has simply demolished the world. She's been at the top of the sport for only 2 years.
It was very special, very special. Mum and Dad were there as well, which was a huge thing, and I think it was the first time that Dad kind of realised the enormity of it.
The new world champion.
Because Dad isn't particularly horsey, he loves tennis, he sings in a choir, and he came back from choir and said, "Everybody's heard about it, Ros." So it was the first time where his world also understood what I was then achieving. All-Star B, you know, he elevated my career beyond anything I ever would have imagined. The generosity and the kindness that he had for all those years was absolutely amazing. When he had his accident, it was a really terrible day. I had to stay calm and I had to stay rational, and I knew as soon as it happened that it probably wasn't going to be a great outcome for him. You know, I look back now with such fond memories of Albie, and you know, he took me to some amazing places, and I think Caroline and I will always be eternally grateful for what he gave us.
You are a star.
Caroline Moore there.
Caroline is an amazing person. With each other's help, we catapulted our careers together, and we've remained great friends ever since. I've just got a great team. Everyone's really positive. Just couldn't do it without them. My great staff I've got here, they've all been here for quite a long time. The yard now runs pretty much completely without me. Mum's a horse lover. Dad isn't, but he's completely taken it on board and loves the sporting side of it. And Mum just works all hours, really. It's her passion as well as mine. She loves caring for the animals, and so it really allows me to concentrate on my competitive career, and she does a lot of the management outside of that, as well as running a large farm, looking after grandchildren. She is pretty much invincible. And then Chris, my husband, is extremely tolerant. He's a great dad, and yeah, I think he's equally as competitive as me, so he likes to see me do well. I don't think it was hard to step away, no. I think, you know, when you're pregnant and you've got a big tummy, it's hard to imagine being able to do anything anyway. So no, I didn't feel it hard to step away in that sense. I found it quite hard mentally because I was always feeling like I was being left behind. I'd only been, you know, really confident for 2 years. It's not a long time. You know, so I was still very much questioning and challenging whether I'd be able to come back to it, what would be the impact of it, which is probably why I did rush back to competing very quickly after having her. And I think it was all the mental side. If I was to repeat the job, I wouldn't do it quite so quickly again, because I think many more years down the line now, I know that you don't forget, and you know, I can train the mental side and everything like that. But it was great, but it was challenging.
Coming back into riding so quickly was a very brave thing to do, but Ros knew her capabilities, and prior to having Ziggy, she was very strong in her core, and since having Ziggy, she's had to work really hard initially, but I think that's made her a better, stronger person, a stronger rider.
It's completely changed me. It hasn't changed my competitiveness, and it hasn't changed my desire to want to do the best by every horse I've got. None of that's changed, but you know, I have a little girl in my life now that is more important than anything I achieve on a horse. And so, you know, of course things have changed in that way. I love spending time with her, I love being a mother, and so I'm very often torn between trying to be a great event rider and trying to be a great mother, and it's quite hard to be both. So the mental challenges are now much more around that, and the mum guilt and everything that goes alongside that. But in some ways, there are many positives to that, because I do step away from the sport. If I have a bad day, I'm much more rational about it, because there is more to life than, you know, riding event horses. And there's always, you know, a bundle of fun to come home to. So it definitely gives you great perspective. So Walter, he means the world to me. I loved him from day one, so he came to me as a 3-year-old, and the moment I rode him, I said, I love this horse, absolutely love him. Just loved riding him. Even if he's having an outburst or he's doing something silly, I feel very safe on him.
Probably my favourite event horse on the circuit at the moment.
And the cross country is the bit that I would struggle the most with, and that's the bit that he fills me with the most confidence. I really love going cross country on him.
Walter's personality is huge. I mean, he will lick you up and down. He's very quirky, but he has got a massive personality. And he absolutely loves the job. He was born for this job, and that's what makes him so special.
She loves him. I think if you believe in a horse like that, and it's all about belief, I think, you've got to want to go and do it and tackle these courses. So I think they had that from day one, which is lovely.
He gives her the most wonderful feeling, and she trusts him completely. So she's very, very fond of him. Not just because he's successful, but because of the way she's able to ride him and the experience she gets from it.
Last year, I did feel like I was on a roll where things just kept going right, and I think that is the case sometimes.
Ros focused, she's such a down-to-earth, fabulous competitor.
Walter won badminton, which was, a massive dream come true.
Canter and Lordship Scrafalo with the victory.
And then we went to the European Championships in France, and he won there too.
This for the European title.
Oh, look at that.
And Ros Canter's going to bring it home with Lordship Scrafalo in convincing style.
Then we've got Isolot DHI as my kind of up-and-coming young horse, and took him to Blenheim, and he won there.
Yeah, perfect.
With horses, you get on the right roll, and the results keep flowing, and that definitely happened for me last year.
It was an easy romp to victory.
I'm so proud of Ros and what she has achieved, obviously in the riding and the competition, but just seeing her sort of grow the last sort of 10, 15 years, around her horses, the way she works with the horses, the people around her, and that, I think, is what makes her second to none.
Absolutely amazing what she's achieved so far, and the way she's managed it all. I feel very proud of her. Yeah, it's just brilliant.
At the moment, it's all about Paris, really. I was the reserve rider in Tokyo, and it's fueled me to want that dream even more, really. I've worked so hard and sacrificed quite a lot, as have the people around me, and I'd be extremely proud, even more proud of competing knowing that I'm a mother as well. It would make it all worthwhile.